what's the first step, right? That's them. We need them. So, did I get through all the strengths? Gifted, analytical, sensitive, perfectionist, idealistic, loyal, self-sacrificing, and thorough. You finish what you started. It drives you nuts when you don't have enough information to finish something that you're started. Now, to the rest of us, you look like procrastinators, but here's why. We didn't give you enough information to make a logical conclusion, so you set it on the shelf until somebody gives you more information. Am I right or right? Right? Okay. Here's the weaknesses. You can tend to be self-centered. They're so wrong. Everybody else is so wrong. Why can't they just be normal like me? Right? You can be moody, critical, negative, rigid, theoretical. Theory, I always have a hard time. Impractical, unsociable, and sometimes revengeful. You can be. I know, nobody likes that, but sometimes. But what we're looking for is balance between the two. All right? Everybody give the C's a big round of applause. All right. You can go back to your seats and we'll finish up with the sales process. Give yourself a big round of applause one more time. It's hot in here. All right, meanwhile, the eyes still can't relax. They're still talking. Settle down, eyes. Settle down. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Was that fun? Absolutely. I just shared with you what I believe is the second most valuable piece of information in the world. And I truly mean that. The second most valuable piece of information in the world. And that's how to understand people and how to communicate to them. And we don't have time. I teach 3 days just on DISC alone. I teach you then how to communicate to the different types. We have role plays. It's so much fun. Okay? So we want to get into this sales process. I'm going to teach you 7 steps of selling. I used to sell for a guy called Hank's Fine Furniture. Hank was a personal friend of Sam Walton. Had a little bit of money, had a company called Hank's Fine Furniture in Arkansas, and now they're scattered all over the western states. They introduced me to sales training by a guy with a funny name and a very funny accent. Can you guess who it was? Zig Ziglar. How many of you are Zig Ziglar fans? Awesome. How many of you have never heard of Zig Ziglar? 1, 2, okay. Zig Ziglar was probably one of the most quoted men in recent history, probably almost as much as Jesus Christ. He has tremendous quotes. One of the favorites, and this is one of them, but my favorite is coming up here a little bit later. Zig Ziglar wrote 33 books. After he had passed away in 2012, they discovered another book that he wrote and put it back for them to discover. It's an amazing book. I encourage you to read all of his books. Listen to his tapes. Yeah, tapes. Right, he has tapes and CDs, videos, and all of that. But I was introduced to selling and the DISC by Mr. Zig Ziglar, my mentor. And on this particular day at Hank's Fine Furniture, this guy pulls up in a nice, shiny black vehicle, parks perfectly between the white lines. Perfectly. The tires weren't crooked, they were straight. Clean car. Who am I dealing with? An outgoing or a reserved person? More of a reserve. They sat in the car. I looked and saw the wife was there. They started talking. The husband gets out, opens his door, stands in front of the car, and lovingly waits for his wife. Who am I not dealing with? A D. A D would have already been to the front door and looked back at his wife and said, "Come on, honey, we got to buy a mattress." Right? So I knew right then that I was dealing with a more of a reserved, perfectionist type of a person. Now here's the thing. The management wanted me to stand 12 feet away from the door, and when the clients would come in, they wanted me to clap my hands and say, "Welcome to Hank's Fine Furniture. My name's Dave. How can I help you?" How many of you would buy from me? No.
Car salesman.
Absolutely, right. And so when they weren't looking, I'd just really quiet it down, and I'd put my Georgia Southern charm on and say, "Hey, y'all, welcome to Hank's Fine Furniture. How can I help you?" And this guy literally put his hand out like this, turned his face, and walked away, and this is what he said: "We're just looking." Everybody says we're just looking, and they are when they say they're just looking. But I started noticing that there's some people you can play with and some people you cannot play with. The people you can play with will continue walking towards you and say, "Oh, we're just looking." They're begging you to ask them a question. And here's the question. "Great, what are you looking for?" "Oh, I'm looking for a mattress." Take him over to the mattress, and I'd sell him a mattress. This guy said, "Oh, we're just looking." And I sold him $60,000 worth of furniture by using only 6 words. How many of you would like to know what those 6 words are? Yeah, 1 or 2? Okay, I won't tell you. They're really not earth-shattering. This is all I said. "When you're ready, raise your hand." An hour later, he raises his hand. And I need you to stand up here, and I need you to be me. I will be the customer. And remember, this is the guy that did this to me an hour earlier. So I come over, and I stand about this far away from him. Now you're me. But this is what he did. He comes right over to me. Turn around just a little bit. So, no, the other way. The other way. your better side. All right. He comes right up here. He puts his shoulder on my shoulder. And he said, "Here's the deal." He says, "We just sold our house, and we bought a 5-bedroom house with no furniture. I want that. $60,000 worth of furniture." Thank you, you can have a seat. By only saying 6 words. How powerful is that? If I would have gone all I on him, like who I am, or D, like, "Come on, what do you want?" You know, he'd have walked out. I went back and told my manager, "This guy just bought a boatload of furniture." I was 3 weeks new to the job. My manager says, "I bet you I can steal him from you. He wanted that commission." Now, I'm a D. I'm very competitive. And I said a very stupid thing. I said, "I bet you can't." And he goes out to the customer and he says, "Hey, Dave is brand new. I'm the manager here for 13 years. If I can help you with anything." And the wife, who hadn't said a word, stopped him mid-sentence and said, "Dave's our guy." Quickly, just like that, I built that rapport because I spoke their language. How many of you have ever been to a foreign country? Raise your hand if you have. And you did not know their language. And you all of a sudden, you can just, I don't know if this happened, but if it would, what would happen? Everybody's chatting around in a foreign language, you can't understand anything, and all of a sudden somebody says, "Hey, Dave." You're going to just keep right on walking, right? No, you're going to say, "Somebody gets me." Right? Because they spoke your language in a way that you can digest it, the way that you can understand it. That's why the disc is so powerful. And today we only walked out on the surface. We haven't even bent down to scratch the surface yet on what all is in that disc.